the balance between talent and passion. I mean, I think one part of it is the entrepreneurial side that even artists have to have, or entrepreneurs do, which is 99 no's is still waiting for that one yes. And you have to be able to accept the fact that no's are not no's. They're just one step closer to getting a yes. And passion, whether you're an artist or an entrepreneur, that passion you can't really teach, will just allow an artist to keep moving forward. You could be a really talented entrepreneur, a really talented artist, and you get that one no, and then you're like, I guess I wasn't good enough, and you shut down. So in one regard, passion is extremely important and almost can't be taught.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to It's the Bearded Man podcast with your favorite, the world's favorite bearded man, Bob Bay. Each week with our guest episodes, I try to put the spotlight on someone who, in my eyes, is living their most authentic life. Today, he's the founder of GoodMusicAllDay, the #1 college music website that bridged music fans with up-and-coming artists, which he sold in 2015. He's now head of A&R and branding at Indie Amplify, a platform and marketplace for independent artists, which offers a magnitude of services for people in the music industry. Today on the podcast, fellow bearded brother, Tim Weber, baby. Let's go.
Thank you for having me.
All the way out in Nashville, Tennessee.
Well, look at that. One day I'll be there in LA doing it in person, but yeah, appreciate
When's the last time you were out in LA?
Probably November of 2019. So
wow, so it's been quite a minute.
Yeah, it's coming a year and a half.
Wow.
Probably one of the longest stints since I've been out there. Yep.
Was it business or was it just personal, just to come on out and see people and whatnot?
For tax reasons, it was business. No, I'm kidding. No, it's I miss my family in LA. I love LA. I miss LA dearly, but I also Nashville's home. So I got no problem traveling there every 3 or 6 months. I'm good with that.
Just know in the next 12 months, within the next 12, you're going to get a little knock at your doorstep. The Bearded Man's coming through to Nashville. We're going to cause a ruckus in downtown. Sound the alarms. Get that place ready, because I'm going to come in blazing hot when I get the chance to come out there.
I am so ready. Huey Mack heated up the couch for you, so he's got it all primed for you. So that way, when you come out,
big couch guy. I'm a big couch guy. I'm not a needy person, just a place to rest my beautiful face, and I got no complaints.
Well, let's do it. I'm ready.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I need to give props to these 4 individuals, because this conversation wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for Nolan Smith, Tim LaRue, Jesse Korn, and Harrison Remler for being willing to jump on a Clubhouse with me to have a conversation about music management in the industry. And then you happen to join in. We had this moment of everybody's pull Tim up. You literally shut down the stage because they wanted to get you on there. And obviously, as we've talked previously through DMs and whatnot, knowing who you were before that moment, growing up using Good Music All Day, it was literally such a big moment for me to see you on the stage with us, because I was this is the guy that founded the blog that I was utilizing to find air, to find all these up and coming artists back in the day. And I guess all I'm trying to say is it's a crazy full circle moment of the serendipity of life, of trusting you're on the right path, you're doing the right things, and not knowing how one thing could lead to the next. Because easily 2 things could have happened. I couldn't have done that Clubhouse, or also one of them could have said no. And the fact that it all happened and then you happen to be there, now we're here chatting. Big shout out to all those guys, and just super excited to dive into today's podcast with you, man.
Yo, shout out all 4 of them. All 4 of them are young goats, a part of the Illuminati that one day I'll be cool enough to be a part of. But they're all amazing.
Come on.
And shout out to you though for doing it and living up to what you preach. I think it was today or one of the days on Instagram, you posted about take the leap. And as you said, you could have not done it, or you could just take the leap and do it. So props to you, props to them for It was, I appreciate the acknowledgement. It was very funny to hear everybody shout it out because I was truly just joining and I was like, man, I love all of these people. I think I talked to all of them individually in the 2 weeks prior to that clubhouse. And I was like, man, I got to organize calls and call them and I can just open an app and listen to them talk now. Hell yeah. So that was fun.
Oh, I love that. That's the internet of today. Yeah, we got a lot to discuss. Let's kind of picture back in October of 2009. I'm sure you've told this story many of times, especially because you've been on a podcast streak these last couple of weeks. But October 2009 is the beginning of something special when you're at Notre Dame and you're starting this platform, Good Music All Day, to share music with friends. Was there any hesitation to starting the blog, or do you feel like at the time it was non-negotiable? It was just something that intuition, you listen to your gut and you're like, I just have to start this thing. Like there's an idea and I need to just follow it.
Yeah. Well, when I started it, I didn't even think of it as a blog. I mean, technically it was tweb90.wordpress.com, but that was really just me Googling and finding the easiest way to start a website that I could put up blog posts. And the whole purpose was, as a freshman in college, you miss your high school friends. So shout out are my Archmere friends that I love dearly. And we all went our separate ways. And I had free time for the first time and I was listening to music and I was like, I'm going to share the songs that I'm listening to with friends of mine from high school. And I'm sure that they're going to like it as well. So that was really the start of it. The hesitation was as more people listened to it, I wanted it to be personal just for me and my friends. And I didn't want other people to be listening to it. But the weird part about that era and those college days and everything was when everybody went back home for the holidays that December, it was like not only did my friends had already told their friends at college about it, but then everybody went back home for Christmas holidays. And then when we came back from Christmas, I went from maybe 50 views a day to 10,000 views a day. And that was when I got hesitant and I shut it down. And I was like, nope, I don't want to do this. And then all I needed was that little nudge from my friends being like, well, there's a reason that 10,000 people are coming to it. You should definitely start it back up. And that was when I bought the domain Good Music All Day. And I was like, you know what, maybe I'll get a job in the music industry from this. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's so interesting to like hear that perspective of like, it's growing. People care. Whoa. Slow down. This is not anything I signed up for. This is supposed to be just for the boys, like for the homies, like just sending through submissions and like, here's some music. But like the fact that you were kind of like hesitant and were like, I don't know if I should be doing this. I think that's just a crazy like insight because I feel like, a lot of times people would see growth and then immediately start running forward towards that growth. But you were a little bit like, let me stop and kind of think about, is this the direction I want to go?
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Once I decided to do it, I definitely chased it without my blinders or with my blinders on, just going for nothing but that. But there was definitely the reason of starting it was nothing other than, I feel like it's a common thing with your high school boys of what you listen to when you're hanging out, whether you're warming up for a basketball game or hanging out after school or sitting in somebody's car when they just got their license. You're always listening to music. So I felt like it was a nostalgic thing I shared with my boys that is kind of personal. And so I didn't really understand why a bunch of people would want to come to it. And then once a bunch of people did, it was kind of like, well, I guess I pick it and see where it goes, or I stick with my psychology major and see where that goes.
Yeah, people listening have to like remember like this is before, especially if you're probably younger than 22 at this point, like, or if you're listening, you're younger than 22, like there was no such thing as Spotify curated playlists. Like if you wanted to find music, you had to dig in the internet. And this is like early YouTube. This is before like everybody was flushing out music videos. So like you really had to go in the depths of the internet to find good new upcoming music. And that's why it was such a massive thing. And I think it was right when this blog era started to kick because people were looking for that medium. People were looking for that outlet. So it's so funny now because in 2021, it's like, I just go to my curated playlist. Like every time I open Spotify, I have all these new artists. I'm like, never heard of them, like this, like that. But before there was no algorithm. There was no like platter being handed to me on a daily basis of all the new music that's getting produced every second of every minute of every day.
And I mean, I'm probably going to date myself in this, but it was so weird going from, you could download from like Kazaa
LimeWire.
and LimeWire and
Oh, those
random
were the
illegal
days.
things, but they would just live on your computer and you would burn mixtape CDs. But then the real
Yeah.
revolution that came out when I was in high school was iPods, where you could actually portably have
Lighter.
MP3s, and smartphones with streaming didn't exist. So iPods became the currency of like whoever had the best iPod would DJ the party, would be DJing the
Oh, you're
car
so
ride.
right, man.
And we had with GMAD, our thing was legally free downloads. So artists were giving away music for free downloads so they could build fan bases and then eventually tour or sell an album. So we would gather
Yeah.
the 10 best legally free songs in a variety of genres, and the amount of people that would just go and download all 10 songs every day. And it's not that many, but I was filtering through enough that they were pretty good. And the artist did well. Those kids look cool. Then their friends are like, well, how'd you find out about that artist? Oh, I went to this site. Next thing you know, yeah, it was just a plateau. But that iPod era is so weird. And I haven't thought about it as
Oh,
much until the last 2 years, where I would say probably at least once a week, I either get a DM or an email of somebody being like, dude, my iPod finally broke that had like 2,000 songs from GMAD. Can you just send me all the songs right now? And I'm like, dude, the same thing happened with me. I have an external that has everything I downloaded, but not everything I posted. Yeah.
oh, that's so
So,
gnarly. When I was home for the holidays this past Christmas, I was in my parents' basement, and the nostalgia when I came across like all my OG iPods, I was like, wow, what an era this was. But kind of going off of that, like you mentioned like you're hesitant about the growth, and you kind of run with it. You decide you're going to go all in, and it's clear to me that really a lot of this growth was just coming from pure word of mouth, pure like homies and friends just sharing it with one another. And I had read in like within the first 18 months, like we said, you're not spending any money, right, on advertising. You're literally just putting out the content. People are word of mouth growing this thing. It literally grows to 3 million page views per month, which is unbelievable. What were some of those quick problems that were arising as the growth was coming with it? And I don't
so
mean
I,
quick problems. I meant that reverse. The
yeah, but
problems that are
like,
coming
but
because of the
problems that
quick
you,
growth.
yeah, because you don't anticipate. I mean, I also do think that that's a kiss of death, whether it's a business or an artist. Getting too big before you're ready for it is a kiss of death.
Boom,
And I
boom.
was definitely not ready for it in a business mindset, in a mental health mindset. I wasn't ready for it. I was just riding the high of being like, this is insane. This is
You're like 20 at
amazing.
this time, right?
Yeah,
Probably.
20. Yeah, 20 when it hit
Oh my
that 3
God.
million a month. And that was only 100,000 page views. And we ended up doing a fair amount more than that over the years. But that, the two biggest things for me was, one was the legal aspect of, pretty quickly I had some lawsuits from major companies about music that I was posting that I thought I had cleared for free downloads and all of that. And nobody cares when you're a small guy. But once McDonald's is paying you $10,000 a day to run ads on your site, they're going to care if there's an RIA complaint. So those kind of things I was not ready for. And then I would say the other part was treating it like a business. I really treated it like this was a fun hobby. I'm going to work with all my friends that I love. We'll see how high it goes together. Never really, oh, let's sit down, build a business plan, think about job descriptions, think about job roles, how
Mm.
we're going to handle this. It was much more of like, I'm overwhelmed. Who wants to help? I had a buddy that I hired 4.0 from Wisconsin's business school and gave up his job offers to basically live. I paid his rent, and he was like, I'll just live with you and we'll see what we can do. And from there, I had friends that were like, yeah, we'll sacrifice opportunities just because we want to see what can happen, which is fun, but it wasn't best for the business, wasn't best for our friendships, it wasn't best for anything, but it made for a hell of a time.
Majority of the people that would have been in your shoes would have made the same mistakes, myself including that. If I'm starting this thing, it takes off at 20. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just running with it. You don't have time to plan. You don't have time to think through strategy. You don't have time to start building out what your lawyer team might look like because you're just running with it. This is all new to you. And then it kind of comes back and you're like, oh shit, we dug ourselves in a deep hole. And it's so interesting how you said it's like the kiss of death because so many times I remind myself and it's like a reminder to me, like you need to appreciate all of the time that you have where you're like not the most pop and you're not like the biggest podcast in the world, because in reality, all it's allowing me to do is become a better podcaster. I'm sharpening my tools. I'm getting better at the craft because, quote unquote, thousands of people aren't necessarily paying attention to me right now. But as I keep getting better and the world is sleeping on the kid, when that moment pops, I'm going to be so much more ready for it. So I think it's like it's at the end of the day, I think it's all about perspective. Would I love to pop up immediately? Yeah, of course. But at the same time, it's like forcing myself to recognize, like, even if I'm not taking off right away, there is beauty in it. Whereas at the time, you didn't have that moment to really ground yourself, to lay the foundation and start building up. It was like the concrete's pouring, the freaking lumber guys are showing up, electrical wants to start, the roofing's coming in within the next 12 hours. Like, it's just everybody, all hands on deck. So anybody that would have been in your shoes would have done the exact same thing.
Yeah. And I think I don't beat myself up over it. And I do think it's going back, like that expression, you got to put in your 10,000 hours. I think for most people, that's finding, are you going to be working in your free time? Are you willing to do a little extra to get it done? Mine was kind of like, well, it's starting to pop. I'm going to drop out of school and I'm going to work 20 hours a day on this 7 days a week for the next couple of years. And like, yes, I put in my 10,000 hours, but I didn't do it in a responsible way for the business, for my friends, for my mental health. But I put in those hours. I just did a boot camp version of it that's going to lead to a business to burn out or myself to burn out or something. But there's still those 10,000. It wasn't like it was like, oh, I put out the website and within a year it got to that point. During that year, I was still spending at least 16 plus hours every day, 7 days a week, listening to music and posting music.
Yeah. The burnout stuff is something that I weirdly believe I can sit here and tell people, like, don't work 16-hour days, like, only work until you feel like you're tapped out and then, move on and go back to it the next day. But I weirdly believe that a lot of times it's one of those things you kind of have to experience for yourself to realize, like, oh, wow, this is not healthy. This is not going to work in the long term, because it's like anything in life. If everybody's telling you don't do it, you're going to do it and figure it out for yourself. But there was that period in I think it was 2014 where you had that burnout where it was like, there's a 30-day period. You slept a total of, I think, 20 hours within this period, which then led you to being hospitalized. So what was the exact numbers on that?
Yeah, it's 27 hours and 30 days. Yep. Less than an hour a day for a month. Yep.
Unbelievable. That leads you to being hospitalized. How does this moment, whether you're waking up in the hospital or the moment when you're getting checked out, whatever, how is this a wake-up call? What are some of the realizations that you're telling yourself about, like, your own health? Because it's like, once that's at risk, everything else doesn't matter.
Yep. Well, I think what you said before, it was a good segue of, no matter what somebody tells you until you go through it yourself, you're not going to realize it. And I have extremely supportive parents that would have paid for my whole education at Notre Dame, but I decided to leave it after 1 year. And they kept telling me all the things I should have done, whether it was hiring a business manager, getting a lawyer, paying taxes, whatever. And all I heard that was, oh, you guys don't know anything. I'm making so much money at such a young age. I'll figure it out. So I kept pushing them away and away. And eventually, probably about 25 days into that 30-day stretch, I had just flown to New York and my body had shut down so much I couldn't even leave the airport. And I had a hotel and I was supposed to be there for 24 hours and I canceled the hotel and I flew back to Nashville and got on a plane and I was just sick. My body was beat up and I called my mom and I wasn't on great terms with her, but I was trying to explain to her what was going on. And she has a background in counseling and psychology and stuff. And she could basically tell I was in a manic episode and was like, we need to get you to go to sleep. So she had a friend come over that lived in Nashville at the time and give me 2 Ambien. It was basically like, take one of these. And if you still don't fall asleep, you can take another one in 6 hours, but your mom will be here tomorrow. And I took both of them that night and still didn't sleep that night. And my mom showed up and took me to the hospital. And that was like, I knew at that point, I like, my body just wasn't listening to me, because even during that phase, I knew I needed sleep. It wasn't like I didn't know that, but when you lay in bed and you're just thinking of all these creative thoughts and what you could be doing and how beautiful life is and what you should be doing and how your friends are relying on you. It was just so many things that my brain couldn't turn off and let me sleep. And when I wanted to sleep, I would try to smoke weed or I would try to do something to allow me to sleep. And it just made me more creative. So part of it was just, I knew what my body was trying to tell me. And eventually it got to the point where I knew I couldn't do it on my own, but I didn't know exactly what was going on. But the crash coming out of that, of like coming down from that high of that episode was like, man, why am I doing this? Why am I putting my body through this? Why am I chasing whatever I'm chasing? What is the point of all of this if all I'm going to do is be unhappy and be lonely and push my parents away and push friends away and chase this clout that apparently is ending me up in a hospital feeling lonely? So that the come out of it was kind of like the first soul searching where I was like, I'm not going to try to be the cocky 20-year-old that's got it all figured out anymore. I'm going to take a step back and realize I'm not happy, even though I'm successful. So maybe successful doesn't mean what I think it means.
Yeah, not even just your putting your body through, but your mind of just continuously on the run and gun of thinking all these ideas and answering probably texts and emails about this event and this upcoming, sponsorship deal with the website or a magnitude of other things. But I think what puts it all into perspective is the fact that you take an Ambien. I've never taken an Ambien before, but you take an Ambien, 6 hours later, take another one, and still your body's like, oh yeah, Tim, we're not shutting down, brother. Keep going. That's a big red flag because that stuff is supposed to knock you out. Yes, so that puts it really into perspective because you can hear, oh, somebody not sleeping on 27 hours. And then the fact that you're taking prescriptions to help you sleep and it's not putting you to sleep. It's like, all right, let's pump the brakes here. We gotta figure some things out.
And they're not, and they're like, and full transparency, it's not like they were benders. I wasn't doing like, I don't like pills. I don't like drugs that much. Like I smoked weed, but at the end of the day, it wasn't like, I know some people are like, oh, well, I've done a 2-day Friday, Saturday bender in Vegas. I know what it's like not to sleep. It's like, yeah, but imagine not sleeping every other night. And when you do sleep, you only sleep for an hour, hour and a half. And you're like, and then when you wake up, it's like, I'm awake now. All right, here we go.
Dude, I mean, that's kind of we were just watching some music videos last night here at the crib, and one of the videos, I forget who the artist was, but it was like showing them in concert, and I looked at the person I was with, and I was like, I literally would be in big trouble if I was part of this nightlife because it would be hard for me to say no to just raging. Like you're just around that environment. That's just like every night of every day of the week. So like, that's literally what essentially you guys were doing because you guys were hosting and you guys were probably getting especially you being the founder, you're getting invited to all these different events and different opportunities. So it's like, yeah, it's Tuesday. Why not? Let's go out and get home at 3 a.m. and then it's Wednesday. And let's do it again. Like the mindset that most people feel is like it's Friday and Saturday. They have a great weekend. They send it. Sunday, they slow it down. Monday, they get their life together. And then, Friday, it fires back up again. This was literally every day was a Friday for you. There is nothing but opportunity. So it's like, whew, baby, that's some wild stuff, bro.
Yeah.
Wild stuff.
And I was definitely tagging along to friends that were more successful than me, but without throwing a single artist under the bus. I think I learned pretty quickly when I saw artists reach the top 10 on Billboard or have a number one hit. And I would be like, man, your lifestyle is just not the same as I remember you. And hearing the pushback of being, yeah, but imagine being on tour 5 nights a week. You get paid to go to an after party after your show till 3 a.m. and you have a radio appearance at 5 a.m. So you're lucky to maybe get 30 minutes or an hour of sleep. And I'm doing this 5 nights a week and I'm getting paid for it. And my managers are relying on me. My team's relying on me. I'm supporting my family. Like, no shit, I'm getting caught up in this lifestyle. And like, I had to take a step back and be like, all right, I can't get mad at you for doing that. I did it myself. But luckily for me, I never got caught up in the substance abuse side of it.
Yeah, that's some wild stuff. 2015 is when I think there might have been a couple rounds when parts of the business was getting acquired, but it's 2015 I think was when you finally stepped away completely. I feel like that was probably I don't know if it was strategically planned or not, but like 2015, right when I think Spotify was starting to pick up, and probably couldn't have been a better time to exit the blog space. So was that the plan inside? Like, you feel like things are changing, or did it just happen to be the right time, right place, right deal?
Yeah, I definitely lucked out. I wish I could have forecasted that it really was within that 12-month period of streaming kind of replacing blogs. I definitely wasn't the forecaster that knew it was now or never. Most of it was just personal health of, man, I'm tired of, working this many hours and getting my electric cut off, but then going out to clubs and flying in a private jet and then coming back home and my gas isn't on. Like just that conundrum for me at that point was pretty much done. The last stage for me was also part of the acceptance of I knew I didn't want to run Good Music All Day in my 50s and 60s. I don't want to be a 50-year-old man running a college music website. Like I knew there was going to be an exit time. And for me, it was just I was kind of ready for the next challenge. It was kind of like I proved that I could do this. I proved that I can work hard. I'm not sure what's going to be next, but I'm ready for whatever it may be. Yeah, so that was definitely more of the attitude. But I lucked out with the timing, and thank God we left when we did.
Good time. You put the ink to the pen or
Yep.
the ink on that contract,
paper.
man.
Yep.
Yeah, good timing on that, my friend. But after stepping away, and I think this is interesting because I feel like a lot. I'm even seeing it with the founder of Liquid IV right now. He's kind of going through that transition process where companies get acquired and it's like your identity's taken from you, right? Or you put so much time and energy into this thing, and now you're just like, okay, cool. I just got a fat check. Money's cool, but like, what do I do now? And so, similarly, you kind of went through this like transition period where I think you had rented an RV, you traveled to every state in the US. How long was that trip? What were some of the realizations, and how much did that benefit Tim going into it for the Tim to come out of it?
Yeah, so I had when I was running GMAD, I did a 4-month stint with four of my partners and buddies, Sam Tuttleman, Duncan Wanamaker, Paul Fagan. We went and rented a nice house in Vermont to get away from the city life, just to be able
There
to
we go.
focus on GMAD, and that was
Burlington?
the idea. It was called Londonderry, so it's like a small town.
Okay.
We were probably 25 minutes from the closest gas station. It was super
Classic.
remote.
So Vermont.
And it was actually so remote that we couldn't get internet at the house because of the iron ore in the mountains. It wasn't the idea of like they didn't have towers. It was just there's so much iron ore in the mountains we couldn't get internet. So I had to tether Wi-Fi, so my cell phone bill was ridiculous. But that started the idea of I knew I needed to get away from cities. After I sold GMAT, I was supposed to stay on for I think 2 years as CEO, and ended up leaving after 6 months or so. Um, and then I started bartending and driving for Uber and Lyft just to figure out what I was going to be doing next. And when I got the Sprinter van, it was really just a buddy of mine in Nashville being like, let's travel for 2 weeks. He came to visit me in Vermont. And I was like, let's just travel for 2 weeks. And then it kind of turned into, well, I can make money consulting from the road. Let's just see how many places we can hit. And having buddies come on board with me for 2-3 days at a time was super nice. All in all, I think it took probably 5 months with one stop back in Nashville. And it was more so just I really had no idea what I wanted to do at the time. I mean, like I was ready to be like, I'll just move back in with my mom full time. I'll figure out what I want to do. I'll go back to school and finish out my degree.
Mm.
It wasn't really about the money. It was just more so about, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And for 6 years, I had nothing but one direction that I was going in. And I hadn't even thought about other things. Um, and so I think the Vermont thing started with me knowing I didn't want to be pressured into a city and the constant grind, and I wanted to disconnect. The traveling was more of, oh, I'm going to do 2 or 3 weeks here and there. And then it just kind of was like, oh, well, I might as well keep going. I'm really enjoying this. And then coming back to it, I think for me was the centering part of realizing how much more I had in common with everybody I met than how alone I felt after that hospital visit, when I felt like I was just so lonely. Nobody knew who I was, whatever. When you travel, I
Mm.
think you see so much in common with other people that you're able to start focusing on the good things and the things that we can appreciate about each other rather than focusing on one-upping somebody on Instagram or focusing on outdoing one of your idols, or it became way less about importance and significance and way more about finding myself by loving other people.
Yeah, I mean, it's about experiencing with other people. I think, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, I'm very much like I want to be around people all the time. Let's keep the energy high. That's just me. But if you're somebody that's an introvert, I get it. You need to have, your alone time and need your space, and I need that too. But at the end of the day, I really do believe that humans are meant to be in communities. So it's like, even if you're enjoying all this success, post like you getting put into the hospital, like, if there's nobody to really enjoy that ride with, like, you obviously have your team and whatnot, but like, if you're not enjoying it with a good community around you, it then becomes, I personally think, outside looking in, it's like, what am I doing here? Like, I could have $1 billion in the world, but if I'm not around great people, I'm not going to enjoy this. It almost immediately makes me think of Entourage, right? Like,
Yep.
you got to have the right characters of people around you to fill different roles and to keep you centered, who know Tim at his best and will keep Tim, on that path. He might sway a little left, a little right, but we know how to keep you like walking that straight path. So it doesn't surprise me that being on the road, being isolated, probably going long periods of time, not checking your phone, where before it was like constantly just like built into your hand, it probably allowed you to get that groundedness again and remind you of like, this is what life really is. Because so many times I have to check myself, remind myself, the internet, great place, love it. Allows me to connect with people like you, share my content, build a brand, love it all. I praise the internet gods. But I have to remind myself that this, where real life is the real thing. Me walking upstairs to see my roommates, like, this is the real life. DMing people, like, there's so much the internet has provided us, but sometimes I have to even check myself where it's like, there's a separation. There's two different worlds. There's Bobby, the Bearded Man branded content on social media. And then there's me in real life. And hope to God, most people see I'm the same, because I try to make sure that I share that same energy. But I think it's just all that to say. It's just a reminder that, like, at the end of the day, are you around the right people? And are you actually enjoying the life you're living? Or are you just doing things to get validation from other people online?
Amen. And I also think the right people are people that are internally happy, not people that define success the same way that everybody else does. Like, to me, the people I love surrounding myself with are people that, when I talk to them, give me their full presence and are genuine with me and happy. But I was surrounding myself with people that were publicly successful or idolized by my peers because that's what everybody else thought was success. And then I realized, my friends that have an 8 to 5 job and can disconnect at 5 and go home to their family and get to spend quality time with their kids. I knew so many A-list artists that idolized that didn't want to, they can't even go to the grocery store. They work 300 days out of the year. They work 12 days, 300 days out of the year. They look at that person with the 8 to 5 that gets to go home to their dog and kids every day and are like, man, I would kill for that. So I realized I need to stop surrounding myself with people that were inspiring me to work harder. I already have that in me. I need to be okay with the fact that I just want everybody to be happy, and the people that make me happiness, hopefully I bring some happiness to them, and it just becomes a big circle where it's just a big support fest. For, like, if you need anything, sometimes it's $1, sometimes it's an hour for a phone call, sometimes it's a couch, just like whatever it is, I'm here. But as long as you're transparent, honest, and we're searching for happiness, that's who I want to surround myself with. But for the longest time, I was trying to surround myself with bigger people, cooler people, more successful people. And that was a learning curve, even for me, when you talk about losing your identity after selling GMAT. I mean, I definitely felt like, I have no reason to reach out to those people anymore. And every now and then I would get a call. There's a couple people that would come to mind, like Pat, who used to be Chance's manager, like giving me a call, being like, I haven't heard from you in like 5 months, man. Like, are you all right? And I'm like, yeah, as you know, I sold GMAT, so I don't have anything to do. And he's like, I'm not talking about business. I'm saying, like, you as a dude, are you good? Like, we should be talking. And like that kind of stuff where I was like, oh, you know what? People actually care about me. They weren't just using me for this. They actually like me as a friend. It wasn't just because I was offering them something. And it just formulated relationships that became so much more whole to my heart that now I'd rather have 15, 20 friends that I love dearly than a phone book full of people that I feel like I barely know.
Yeah, and I would imagine in that post GMAT life, you really got to see where which relationships were genuine, like getting a call from Pat checking in, like, "Yo, bro, forget the GMAT. How are you doing?" That though, this is when you go, "Oh, these are the people that there was an actual genuine relationship." And then obviously, at the end of the day, it's impossible to have that type of relationship with every single person. Otherwise, you literally would be booked up with phone calls every hour of every minute of every day. But you hope that most people, do have an appreciation, even if there is business involved, like also, "Oh, how you doing, by the way? Like everything's good," or whatever that like follow up and check in might look like. But I feel like in moments like that, you're definitely going to be like, "Oh yeah, this is the right person."
Yep.
So I know you had kind of mentioned like you did consulting a little bit, you were driving Uber for a little bit, bartending, go through this process of kind of figuring out what does this look like. And then we kind of land on Indie Amplify, where you're the head of A&R and branding, which makes the most sense to me from what I'm seeing outside looking at what you're doing. Essentially, this is a platform / marketplace for independent musicians offering features, music reviews, consulting, graphic design, audio engineers, videographers. I mean, literally, this is like a one-stop shop, and I can already feel the vision for where this is going. But what was kind of exciting about this opportunity that you were like, yeah, I got to jump on board with this? There's no question to ask. This is the next step that I'm supposed to be taking.
Yeah, I mean, great question. I didn't even know fully what it was when I reached out. The founder of it and the CEO, his name's Futuristic, Zach, and I had known him from 2010, early GMAD days, and he knew my passion for helping the small independent artists be able to make a living. That's always been. I always told people back in the GMAD days, if I support you and I'm right, within 12 months of me supporting you, I hope you're bigger than I can ever help you. Because my bread and butter was always helping the small guy get to a point where you could tour and sell out like a 300 to 500 person room. If you can tour on your own, headline and sell out 300 to 500 people, hopefully we get you there in a year. And after that, you're on your own. I don't need
And
anything.
somebody's going to
Be
come
great to
knocking
see
on
you.
your door.
Yeah. And so that I knew that was never going to be me. I just loved helping the smaller independent artists. And then as I learned more about the music industry, I really enjoyed showing artists outlets that they could remain independent instead of having to sign really bad deals and watching my friends get taken advantage of by labels or scams and stuff. And I just saw Futuristic posted on Instagram. My next venture will be the most important thing ever. I'm going to help every independent artist and give them the resources I didn't. And I just commented on it and said, "Yo, this sounds right up my alley. Love you, bro. Can't wait to hear more about it." And then I think we talked that day. Maybe an hour later, he called me and he gave me the spiel. And I was like, "Hey, man, I got free time. I'm not even asking for money or anything. Let me just see what I can do for 30 days, get a feel for the company, see if I can bring any value." Got a real understanding of what his vision for it was and what I thought I could bring to the table. And after 30 days, it turned into more of a full-time job that I got continually excited by. And then becoming a co-owner of it, I was like, well, now my name's behind it. Now I got to go 0 to 100 again. And
Flip
and
that
just
switch, baby. You know, you got it inside you.
exactly. And so as soon as it flipped, I mean, truly for me, the biggest thing was educating independent artists was the first step of just letting them know opportunities and what exists. That's the very first thing. The second part is once you're educated, you get to make your own decisions. But if you do want to pay for a feature or you do want to pay for consulting or whatever, make sure it's secure and you're not going to get scammed. And that was kind of our business model was make sure the customer and the artist are protected. So the customer pays after the artist accepts the request, but the artist doesn't get paid until the customer is happy. So we kind of just hold on to the money to make sure both parties are going to be happy. And that eliminates 50% of scamming in the music industry. On top of that,
Totally.
now we get to vet the people that are listed on the site as an engineer or videographer to make sure you're getting a certain caliber. And also, people don't know that you can buy a feature from your favorite artist. You can go to the site and get, Chris Webby, you can get Chris Glico, you can get Futuristic. A lot of people 10 years ago, even Zach, we were just talking about it today on our Zoom. He didn't even know that that was possible. Everybody would have thought 10 years ago, you have to be at a label, and the label's A&R rep has to reach out to another A&R rep, and that's how features happen. No, you can literally go to Indie Amplify right now and get hundreds of artists on your song.
Yeah, money always talks. And even now it's just like even if you're not in the music industry, the accessibility to people is unbelievable. You have a direct line of communication to shoot your shot into somebody's DM. I mean, I've done it many of times with podcasts, and especially if they're the higher caliber guests. Yeah, you better believe not every single one of them is getting back to me, but I know that there's at least a 0.01% chance that they're going to at least read it and see it. And so now I have nothing to lose. And it's similarly, it's like, I think before probably artists thought that you had, like you said, you had to have a label or you had to have the connect, where now you guys are providing this medium where they feel safe and they know that they can purchase any service, the feature or graphic design or anything like that. And I think it's so important because I'm aware of scenarios in the music industry of people that I know as artists where mutual friends have paid for features, and then it's this limbo period where it's like takes 3 months to turn around, but they already paid for it, so the artist probably just doesn't feel as like motivated because they already grabbed the money. So I think it's so important where you guys are providing the safety net, knowing like your money's backed. Like if you want to pay for this service, if you want to get this done, they're not going to get the money until it's fully executed. But I'm so curious, like, and this would be a really interesting take, as somebody with the knowledge of music, from all the curating, especially you did with Good Music All Day, and just your insight of the music industry, what is the balance of upcoming artists, like passion and talent? And what I mean by that is, like, I think if somebody is willing to work and is really passionate about something, there's always a market, whether you're a creator, a business person, whatever it might be. I always think there's a market for it. Even myself, right? I claim to be the world's favorite bearded man, right? Like I'm like, I really hope when people listen to these podcasts, like in all seriousness, like I go to bed and I think I'm just a regular guy that just puts a lot of energy into it and a lot of time and a lot of effort. And I hope to God that people enjoy it and love it. But it's like, I know there's always more work. There's always more room to grow and whatnot. So I'm curious, like, just from what you've seen in the last decade, and especially some of the artists that you kind of really helped hit that rocket up, like how much of it is talent? How much of it is passion, work ethic? Like, does anybody have a shot, or do you think certain people are really born in this world with the talent to do that type of work?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's a great question. The balance between talent and passion. I mean, I think one part of it is the entrepreneurial side that even artists have to have, or entrepreneurs do, which is 99 no's is still waiting for that one yes. And you have to be able to accept the fact that no's are not no's. They're just one step closer to getting a yes. And passion, whether you're an artist or an entrepreneur, that passion you can't really teach, will just allow an artist to keep moving forward. You could be a really talented entrepreneur, a really talented artist, and you get that one no, and then you're like, I guess I wasn't good enough, and you shut down. So in one regard, passion is extremely important and almost can't be taught. And I'm a firm believer that if you're a musician and you're passionate enough and you're smart enough, you can make a living in the music industry almost no matter your talent. You can make $100,000 a year. If you're passionate enough and you work hard enough, there is a lane for you. That being said, the balance between talent and passion, you're never going to be on the top 40 if you're not talented. And the level of that talent needs to be cultivated. It takes a team. It's not one person. Like Billie Eilish has her talent, but she also has her brother and a team around her that help develop her. So talent will get you to the top. It will still take a team of people that are passionate. Passion can help you make a living and get you through the dark times that talent won't. Both are important, but I don't think that one is necessarily more important than the other. I am talented in a couple of ways. I always call myself not talented, but a middleman. But I know I'm being a middleman is a form of a talent. So I've tried to stop saying that. But I mean, I think I'm extremely passionate and not as talented, and I've carved my lane.
Oh,
So
you're talented too. You got the balance, brother.
yeah, but
I love that take on. I love the take on the nose though, because that could literally make or break somebody. They get one no, and they're like, all right, I guess this doesn't work, and they move on. But I literally have trained myself to get more fired up when I get no's or things don't go according to plan, where I go, all right, I have to learn. I have to pivot. I have to make this work. How is this actually benefiting me? Because it's not going to happen in this moment. This podcast guest said no, or this opportunity didn't fall through when I thought it was. Okay, cool. Let's look at it from a positive perspective and know that this is happening for a reason, and that it's only going to help me be better prepared for the future. So I love that take on letting the nose kind of fire you up, and yeah, just truthfully knowing that anybody can do it as long as they're willing to work for it and have passion to ride that roller coaster, which it's a mental game for sure.
So do you think then that people can be taught to accept the no's, or do you think that's something that's just intrinsic, or can you be taught a little bit of it?
Yeah, I think,
because I was a firm believer for a long time that you couldn't be taught it at all. And I have a couple of people that I've helped embrace the idea of, yeah, you got one no, go for it again. And they've definitely gotten better, but I'm not sure the balance. I'm not really sure if I bought into that you could fully teach that mentality.
I think you can. Yet. I think we are truthfully all products of our environment. And so if you got that person that doesn't seem like they can be taught that, and you force them to be surrounded by people that think optimistically, that think, bigger and better, and there is no such thing as no, I think they become products of their environment. I only have the confidence to step into the podcast space because I had grown up around 6 individuals who were passionate about music, who were passionate about photography, about making men's clothes, about producing music. I saw them unapologetically doing the thing that they wanted to do, even though people that we grew up with in high school were like, oh, they're making music, or they're like making clothes, like, ooh, that's cool, like the weirdos, or whatever that could have been. But I saw them go, it doesn't matter, I'm still going to do this. So I really, truthfully wouldn't be doing this creative career had I not been around those guys, because then when it came time for me to step into the space, I knew the mindset. I go, it doesn't matter what the number of plays are. This is going to take a long time. I need to put in consistent effort, and I need to just trust that this is going to work itself out in time, and that I have to be my biggest cheerleader, like hype man, right? Like I have to be literally hyping myself up every single step of the way. All that to say, I was a product of my environment. So to go back to your question, I think anybody can be trained that. It really, truthfully, you hear it many times in books and podcasts. You're the product of the 5 people you're surrounded by. And I would love to echo that louder. If you're in a pessimistic mindset, if you're not happy with the direction your life is going, if you're not really fired up with everything you're working on, take a step back and look around at the 5 people you talk to the most. Are they fired up? Are they excited? Are they motivated? Are they doing things that seem impossible in this world? If no, that's your first step. That's your first problem. Start surrounding yourself with people that actually do believe these things are possible. So I think it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. Me speaking today and how confident I am is just product of me consistently doing this over the last couple of years. So it's taking time, but is it possible? 1,000%.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think the product of your environment, we've both been privileged enough, it sounds like, to hang out with inspiring people for most of our lives.
Totally.
What I'm now referring to are people that are in their 30s or around 30 that take rejection. It causes them the most anxiety, just one person not responding to a text. And it's so much harder because, yes, that's a product of environment. And like, I can be one of those 5 people in the circle, but it's also 30 years of an environment that was not supportive in the same way. And that's where I'm like, I'm trying to find the medium ground. You're not going to be able to quit your day job and become an entrepreneur tomorrow if you're that 30. But the one thing I can do is realistically talk to you about it. And if you decide to make the leap, I will surround you with those 4 other people, because I believe in that exact mentality, which is if you surround yourself with other people that think I'm going to live till unicorns fly, like I might see unicorns fly. Like I want to live in that world. I don't want to live in the world where people are telling me that's not possible. You can't do that. That's unrealistic.
Totally.
So I'm right there with you, but that shift in mentality has been an interesting.
To echo what you said, though, is definitely true, because as people get older, you get used to your ways. And it's always like, I'm sure we can all think of a moment where we ran into an old person and they're just like they're just like, this is the way I live. This is my mindset. You can't really sway them to think any differently because they put 80 years on the track. Like, they're not changing their mind. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But I think it definitely probably takes more work. And it's really just like an inner work thing. And I'm not saying just surrounding yourself with the right people, all of a sudden everything just like changes. It then becomes a very self-reflective, like inner work, spending time by yourself, thinking things through, journaling. Like it takes a long time. So I hear you on that though. Like somebody that's 30, they might be harder to change, but sometimes it just takes a certain moment in someone's life, conversation, one little tip or one little piece of nugget of social media that just redirects their entire life. So I think everybody,
Amen.
it can be it's a little bit different.
I love that. Don't give up. Don't give up on anybody. You never know when that tip's going to happen.
You never know.
Don't give up on them.
You never know.
You be a positive beacon and you might change somebody's life without knowing it.
Totally. Just keep pushing good energy, keep being a light for others. And at the end of the day, I always tell myself, I can't control the decisions of other people. I can only control mine. And I hope that I'm leading by example for other people, that if they want to follow, they can follow. So I don't think I'm like, I'm going to have thousands of people standing behind me, marching the path with me, but I'm happy to be the leader of that pack if the time came and somebody needs to step up to the plate. So sign the bearded man up, ladies and gentlemen. I guess just to wrap up with Indie Amplify, like any tip, any little little samples of what people should expect, what is to come in the near future? Because I know this is very much still just getting started and there's a lot of cool things in the work, but is there anything you can share that would get people excited about what's coming?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it will be able to help any artist, whether you're 14 years old and you just are trying to record on your laptop, you're an A-list artist as big as the, Ariana Grandes or Biebers, whether you're a 50-year-old man trying to learn the saxophone for the first time. Our main mission, first and foremost, is education, which is showing people how the music industry works, every part of creation of a song from A to Z, from coming up with the idea, how to record it on a budget, how to record it in a studio, how to work with a songwriter. Everything, our first number one thing is just to educate people. And then the second part of it is to give them the option that if they want to remain independent, they can get all of the services and all of the people through the site. And we're making it a community. So even if you're just starting out and it's two 16-year-old kids across the country and one's an engineer that just wants practice engineering and the other is a rapper that just needs a song mixed, they can do it for free and talk to each other. But also, if you're a touring musician that's futuristic size and you're making 6 figures a month or whatever, and you want to get an artist, you don't have to sign to a label. You can still get that artist, get the videographer, and do everything through the site. Our goal is educate people first and foremost, because that's what the music industry needs. And the second is allow them access to any and every resource. And so we'll have an app coming out. We'll have a whole new platform that will just be focused on education and connection, because at the end of the day, if people, you don't know what you don't know. So if we can show people the value in what they don't know and then allow them to connect with people that can help them, whether it's an educational course or whether it's meeting another young kid or whether it's attending a webinar from one of your idols, whatever it may be, the idea is teach people what they don't know and show them that there are options outside of signing away 50% of the rest of your life to a label because you didn't know it didn't exist.
It's a strong vision to have, man. And I think in understanding kind of where you guys are going is the most important part, because that helps you make decisions in the growth stages and in the day-to-day of like, does this fit our true north? We're here to educate people first. Secondly, we're here to provide all these services and a platform for people to communicate and, pay for services and whatnot. But I think just understanding that alone makes decision-making, as I'm sure you already know, on the day-to-day or just like 6-12 month planning? Like, does this fit where we're going? If not, move on, because there's always going to be other options and ideas that kind of pop up along the way. What I love this comment. I forgot the context of it now, of course, right when I'm on the spot of thinking about it. But you had made a comment like when we had our first intro call after we connected after that Clubhouse about like just the importance of like, we had full circled the conversation. Like it was a 30-minute call. We talked about something in the beginning. Oh, it was about taking time to like enjoy life and like step away. And you had like full circled it at the end of the conversation. You're like, hey, well, you got to come to Nashville because you said you were going to live more life. Which I think to me just echoed so clear. I was like, okay, Tim is a very present person. What helps you stay present, even right now on this call, this podcast, when you got other things you got to do, you probably got plans for the weekend, whatever there might be, like what helps you stay so present?
That's it's a constant struggle for everybody. I would say the first one is, thankfully, I'm a terrible multitasker and I know it, and I can admit that about myself.
You're very aware. Self-awareness, key.
That's me being self-aware and humility or whatever, but it's just a fact. I know I can't multitask, so I don't try to. But the other part of it is I'm disappointed by what technology has done for allowing people to truly be present in the moment. Mm-hmm. And I think a bunch of major companies are taking advantage of our brain and how the human brain works to make us, when we're in an environment, want to look at our phone or want to not be fully present just to get that short dopamine kick.
Yep.
And we miss out on like, not the dopamine kick, but like true inner happiness. And like, I know the times that I've been the happiest have been when I thought I was going to talk to somebody for 20 minutes and I sat down with them on a porch and 2 hours went by and neither of us looked at our phone and it was a genuine conversation, versus every time I've looked at my phone, even if I've gotten the best DM or the best email, it feels great for 2 seconds and fleets like that.
Yeah.
So I'm on a quest for my own happiness and I want to bring other people that. And I know for me, I very much enjoy having people's full attention, and not because I like to talk a bunch, but because I feel a human connection there.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to the point where I'm bad enough that I can't text and talk to somebody. So if I do know I'm expecting a text and I'm mid-conversation, I've done it to my girlfriend and she'll slap my finger out of my face, which she has every right to do. But I'll put up my finger and just not even say anything. I'll just put up my finger and grab my phone to be like, I got to do this first, put it back down. Yeah. Let me give it right back to you.
Yeah.
Because the one thing I hate is the guy that you're talking to and is looking at his phone and listening to you and just going, yeah.
I can't do it. Nah, my watch, and baby. Like, not happening.
Yeah.
I go, what did I just say? And they go, I don't know. I'm like, bet.
Yeah, mine is I'll stop talking and then hear them go, huh?
And then it takes them like a drag 60 seconds to finally go, wait, what were you saying? You're like, I've been sitting here for a minute, brother.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I'm a very big proponent, and I don't blame anybody for not being able to be present. I still do it all the time where there's a lull in a conversation, you pick up your phone.
Totally.
I just don't think it's our fault as much as it is the major social media players and people that are taking advantage of the way our brains work. That Social Dilemma movie, I think,
mind-boggling.
Just at the tip of the iceberg of how much technology is able to manipulate the worst parts of the human mind. And I understand dopamine kicks, getting an Instagram like, seeing your friend text you back makes you feel good in the moment. But man, being at peace and looking at a tree feels way better than getting a like on Instagram. Mm-hmm. So if you can be at peace and sit out in nature for 30 seconds, you'll feel way better than looking at Instagram for 30 seconds. And I'm not perfect at it, but I've learned that I can only do one thing at a time. And so I'm going to focus on one thing at a time.
I love that. Something that I've been doing for probably the last 6 months that's helped me is just, first thing I do when I wake up every morning, put my 2 feet on the ground before I check phone, before I stand up to use the bathroom, before I run, before I do anything else. I literally say out loud like a psychopath, focus on the 24 hours ahead of you, because I need to remind myself to be grounded in what's in front of me for that day, because I can think about all the things on my calendar for the next 3 months. It does not matter. There's no reason of getting anxious. I will, as I love to say, cross that bridge when I get there. And in this moment in time, if it's not on my radar for the day, don't think about it. Don't get anxious. Don't worry about it. Just focus on that 24 hours ahead of you. And I think it allows you to, like you were saying, sitting on the porch, 2-hour conversation, you're like, where did time go? That's that flow. That's that part of your life where you're not even thinking about time. It doesn't even matter what time it is, because you're just in the flow of life, that you're just, it's blissful. It really feels something amazing. And I feel lucky because I get a taste of that every single time I've done these podcasts weekly for the last 4 or 5 years. And I've seen like how great it feels and how refreshing it can be for some of these guests that don't have that time to just sit down and talk for, an hour plus all the time. So I definitely feel you on that. Quick cues
and I also believe.
Go ahead, please.
When you said, I'm going to cut you off because when you said,
you can cut me off all day long, brother.
But you say cross that bridge when you get there, and I'm just hearing that metaphor with you right now is like, also when you get to that bridge, you don't need to know necessarily just how sturdy it is, and you don't get to worry about if you fall off the side or anything else. You're on that bridge. All you are is on that bridge in that moment. You get to put one right foot in front of one left foot and keep it going and enjoy the fact that you're on that bridge. So like, I always have people when they get hit with a really tough circumstance be like, well, this is why I was so worried about it, is because it's here. And it's like, okay, but it is here. And you know what? You're still here. So, well, let's not worry about the worst case scenario, best case scenario. You're here. So it's the first step we can do. Your car got in a wreck. First step. Have you called the cops? No. Well, I don't know. It's okay. That's first step. You know what? Let's one step at a time. Put that right foot in front of the left. So yes, you're going to cross bridges, but just because you're on a bridge doesn't mean it's time to freak out about jumping overboard. Yeah.
And remind yourself too, is once you cross that bridge, there's going to be another one. So even if getting on the other side of that bridge is happiness, you're going to get there and go, wait, there's another bridge down there. Let's cross that one. And it's a constant. So it's all about just one, like you said, one step in front of the other and just enjoying that entire process of it. So I love that.
Amen.
Quick cues as we kind of wrap up. What are daily routines that help you operate at your highest level?
Definitely first 30 minutes of the day, don't look at the phone.
Love it.
Don't even use your phone. Don't use your phone as an alarm clock. Don't even tempt yourself by having to use your phone. Use an old school, buy it for $4.99 on Amazon. Wake up. First 30 minutes, don't look at it. Find something that centers you. If you're good at doing yoga or working out, and that's what you want to do, first 30 minutes, awesome. Mine is sit outside and look at nature. But if you can center yourself in that regard, first 30 minutes, rest of the day, you are able to accept and process things that come in. That is number one routine, hands down, that I would recommend to anybody.
If you had to tell yourself one motto every morning, what would it be?
Be more like Bob A.
Oh, come on. Don't make me blush. Don't make me blush.
Try to make one person happy that's not yourself that day.
Ooh, that's good. Be a person of service. That's what I'm hearing right there, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you're the most depressed, you get caught in your own downward spiral. And I think if you make one other person happy, it's a selfish reason. It makes you happier. Like making somebody else happy is the biggest dopamine kick of all. So make somebody else's day and it'll make your own day.
Amen to that, brother. What's one book and one podcast recommendation you have?
Let's see. Book would be When Buddha Walks Into a Bar. Great book, easy read. You can read it in a day. Podcast would be obviously Bearded Man Podcast. Also just ones that push
you're really trying to make me blush, brother.
Yeah. So like I enjoy the Joe Rogans or those, but yeah.
You're making me feel too good.
I'm trying. I mean it though. It's not even me just gassing you up. You know I listen to your podcast. I text you.
No, I appreciate it. I know you've been giving me some feedback, and I definitely appreciate that. That gets me more fired up to keep the foot on the gas at all times. What's an area of your life you need to put more effort into?
Balance between work and personal life still. being able to disconnect from work, taking time for vacations, do better about seeing my family.
Yeah. Well, you better take some time
So
this weekend.
Work, personal life is what I'll say. But whether family, girlfriend, myself, the balance between work and personal.
Yeah, I think that's definitely an area of my life I'm always working on getting better, but it tends to be the area that I sacrifice more than I do for the work and for the things that I'm really passionate about. So I'm very much in that same boat. So we'll have to hold each other accountable in that aspect. What's the first step anyone can take to reaching their inner potential?
Be okay with being imperfect. Don't strive for perfection. Strive for better every day. That's what your potential means. You're never going to reach your actual potential. You'll never know what it is. Don't strive for perfect. Strive for better every day. Accept failures because you're going to fail if you're striving to be better.
Yeah, and the failures end up being teachings that put you in a better position than you were today. So it ends up working to your advantage, but you don't have the understanding of that until obviously time has passes and you go, oh, wow, that's actually benefited me. It taught me. It better shaped me for the things that were coming down the future. So I'm aligned on that. What's one challenge you have for the listeners today? If they listen this far on the podcast, they gave Tim and myself 65 plus minutes of their time. They got through the entire podcast. What is one challenge you have for the listeners today?
Don't be so hard on yourself. Allow yourself to make mistakes, but listen to your heart on when you're the happiest and chase that. Don't disrespect that. Your heart will tell you when you feel truly happy. So don't be hard on yourself for messing up and not being the guy that you want to be or the girl that you want to be, but understand when you are happy, and those will be the people you should surround yourself with. True happiness, not momentary fleeting dopamine kicks. True happiness.
It's always a work in progress, what I like to remind myself of. Even on the days I'm not doing great, I know I'm going to kick this. I'm going to get out of this little slump that I'm having, and eventually I'll come out of it. And it always does. But you have to remind yourself that at some point, things are going to work itself out. Enjoy that process of getting through that emotion, because it's going to make you appreciate things 10 times more as you grow. As we wrap up today, man, big fan of you, brother. Like, it's still like surreal to me that now, like, we're on a texting basis and I know you, like, I can call you up, be like, whoa, what's good, Tim? How you been? It's literally surreal to me because just such a, not to keep saying this, but like literally was a big user and fan of Good Music All Day. And many of the people that I grew up with utilize this platform. So it's just awesome to see the serendipity of life kind of full circle, people like yourself who now are like in my life. I have a podcast with, I can't wait for this to roll out. And then to kind of see you flip that chapter and then everything you're doing with Indie Amplify, like just an incredible story. I know things are just getting started. This next chapter is going to be something amazing for you. And, anytime in LA, you got to hit the boy up. I'll be making my trip to Nashville soon enough. We're going to cause a ruckus. But seriously, thank you for taking the time to chat today on this podcast.
Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody listening. Literally much love to every single person. Hope everybody smiles a little bit more today than the day before.
Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy this podcast, please screenshot this episode, post it to your IG story, tag Tim. He is at not Tim Weber, NOTTIMWEBER. Tag him. Tag me at Bob A. That's B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's, and a Y. Share this podcast out on your IG story and let us know what you enjoyed about the podcast or what you took away. Share it out and tell the world they're sleeping on the beer, man. They got to listen to this podcast. And at the same time, also go check out Indie Amplify. They are at Indie Amplify on IG. That's INDIEAMPLIFY. Or you can check out their website, indieamplify.com. I will have all of the socials linked up in the description below. Check it out. Support them. I think they got a lot of big things coming, and I'm glad I was able to document it before this turns into a $1 billion business. Tim Weber, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in, brother. It's an absolute honor and stoked to connect in real life when this pandemic ends. It's the Bearded Man Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. See you.